I'm not making any money. This is for educational purposes only. Fair use. Fair use. Yeah, this is Business Insider. Says of course military, because hey, that's what's on the minds of the world right now, is all military. All right. Salakia. Yeah. See, things is getting bloody, The blood moon just went by recently. Um yeah. So you just seen that Trump is setting up the it's yeah. So this is British Royal Air Force F-335 stealth fighter jet just scored their first ever combat kill. Right, so this was on about 5 days ago. you know, Showing them flying and this and that. So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachaha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold, Shalom. To sisters Achwathium who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Yeah, so, as this thing goes on, you know, so basically this makes it a world war, right? Because it's more than just, America and Israel, which Israel's is supposed to be I don't even know if you call it a country, because it's just a state. It's the state of Israel, right? But nevertheless, it's mentioned on the world stage as its own country, I guess. And so Israel, America's two countries. Then you got Iran, you got Hezbollah, you got Kuwait is involved, and then basically all those other places where the American bases were at, and they basically fired on those bases, which basically makes this a act of war, a world war, right? And then this is also the British Royal, right, which is also another country, right? To additional, so it's a British F-35 fives shot down drones over Jordan within the past 24 hours. The UK, right, dealing with it's a whole nother continent, right? The United Kingdoms, right, being that's Europe, what they call Europe, right, or Eurasia, however you want to call it. It marks the first time the Royal Air Force F-35 has destroyed a hostile target. During operations, the Middle East has been locked in a air defense frenzy as Iran fires waves of missiles and drones. See? So that makes this right here makes this a world war. So we're definitely in World War III. If no one's telling you or saying it, if you're hearing me, this is World War III, at least the beginning stages of it, right? I mean, at best, right? Because we're still looking for, martial law, race wars, famine, the micro CHIP, the MOTB, right? Which if you know, it's the mark of the beast, and it's the microchip, whether you know it or not. Let's just keep it plain, keep it simple, keep it funky, keep it real, keep it straight. We're not gonna beat around the bush. We're just gonna tell you what it is, And every man's gonna have to deal with whatever decision you're gonna have to make. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna be left up to you. So, but this is definitely that time. Yeah, I'm gonna check it. Just check this out. What just came in? Politics, basically. And Donald Trump announced military coalition to eradicate bloodthirsty cartels with missiles under the shield of Americans. Right? See, so the ones who really bloodthirsty are you Edomites, man. Trump is the one who's really bloodthirsty, even though he'll never have to really fight. He'll never put his children out there, But this is that the things they have to do to get control of everything before they push the MOTB. Because you can't have a bunch of crazed Issacharites running around, not knowing their nationality, not knowing that they're the Israelites, wilding out in their Gentile state of mind, still selling drugs and doing all sorts of things, So this is, part of the Lord's judgment as well, as far as that, and also what it's going to spread this guy thin. I mean, you already ran out of ammunitions and missiles fighting against Iran, but you know what? Let's use some missiles on on cartel. See, what's showing you? Hey, well, it speaks about that in the scriptures. There's no understanding in him. They laid a wound under you, and there's no understanding in him. President Trump has announced a military coalition to eradicate bloodthirsty cartel, Shield of America, says the GOP leader address report from Doral, it's Florida, at the first summit. Right, which they have these summits, which goes into conspiracy. Because anytime you're having these summits, what are you doing? It's a conspiracy. You're conspired to come against someone, or you're saying that you're doing this and passing laws, and you give a damn about people, but you didn't give a damn when you were there on Epstein Island, sniffing some of that cocaine, and then doing some strange and mysterious things to little children. You didn't care. You didn't care that you was giving those same drugs that you're talking about to the little children and doing some strange things to minors. You didn't care, but now all of a sudden you care. But we know what it is. If you understand, because it'd be hard pressed to push the laws that they plan on doing, having curfews, having you basically in a open prison, to have you in a 15-minute cities if you got these wild individuals. So you basically now they have to try to clean it up, which ultimately is judgment from the Most High against the tribes. But doesn't make that they're not freaking evil. They're wicked. At the summit for the new Shield of America alliance that aims to strengthen forces to combat criminal organizations. See, yeah, and that's all that's because they have to come in. They have to bring the MOTB, right? Yeah. So these are these people that's going to bring that action against the so-called cartels, right? You know, I don't know what presidents or what prime ministers or whatever these people or what country they're from. But yeah, these are different countries and different people that's aligning themselves with Trump. And it's really just to bring in the MOTB. Yeah. You got to get control out of chaos. That's what this is. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's what those leaders from Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guyana, Honduras, Panama, Gus, it's like I messed up on that word. Paraguay. Yeah, duh. Okay, that's crazy. Paraguay, Trinidad, and Tobago's were all in attendance, right? So this is just going to spread this military thin, which is one of the ways that Rome fell, right? So yeah, this is was it AI? Just ask a question, just know about how the military was spread thin, right? Which there were numerous of things why it was why it ultimately fell. You know, you have financial, you had the basically that civil wars, which that's all about to happen now. You're about to have a financial crises. You're about to have civil wars, and then on top of all that, you're going to be spread thin because you're fighting a war in the Middle East. If China decides to rush Taiwan, you won't be able to help Taiwan, or if you decide to help Taiwan, it's going to stretch you even thinner if you do decide to help Taiwan, because you got military presence way over here talking about you're gonna drop missiles on cartel members. You know what I'm saying? That is crazy. That is absolutely insane. But here, let's listen to it real quick.
The assertion that the fall of the Western Roman Empire was caused by the military being spread too thin is a widely accepted historical argument, emphasizing that the empire's massive size, 5 million square kilometers, became a critical liability. By the 4th and 5th centuries, the Roman army was forced to defend thousands of miles of border, from Britain to Mesopotamia, leaving them unable to respond effectively to multiple simultaneous threats. How the military was spread thin. 1. Strategic overextension. The empire's vast, porous borders meant the military was constantly forced to react to crises rather than control the frontier, resulting in a defensive, thin linear strip of deployment. 2. Manpower and resource shortages. As the empire ceased to expand, it lost its primary source of wealth and slaves, creating a death by 1,000 cuts scenario where the army was weakened by constant, low-intensity raids and a shrinking tax base to pay for defenses. 3. Divided focus. The need to move troops from the west to the east to defend against the Sassanid Persian Empire, combined with internal instability and civil wars, left the western borders, particularly the Rhine and Danube, vulnerable to barbarian tribes, Goths, Vandals, Franks. And 4. The rubber band effect. The military was stretched so thin that it lost its capacity to defend against organized, simultaneous attacks, making it too big to fail, yet too stretched to protect itself. Contextual factors. While the military being spread thin was a major factor, the fall was a complex process involving 1. Economic decline. High taxation and a lack of manpower, both in the army and agriculture, undermined the state. 2. Political instability. Constant civil wars and short-reigned emperors made it difficult to form a long-term cohesive strategy. And 3. Structural shifts. The army shifted from a strategy of forward defense to relying on mobile field armies, which were not always able to prevent breaches in the border. In summary, the overexpansion of the Roman Empire created a situation where its military resources were unsustainable, allowing external pressures to dismantle the Western Empire, while the East, Constantinople, survived.
Right. Hey, that's beautiful. Hey, and then what's crazy is life is playing itself out all over again in this time, because they fell fighting against the Persian. And who are they fighting against now? The Persians. It said that they use things like mobile fighting instead of thinking, which couldn't get through the breaches, right? Which that's what they did. They went and used these aircrafts. They shot the thing, and then guess what? Those all those things are still there, right? They rebuilt their thing to make whatever nuclear, whatever they were making before. They said the week before that they packed it in with dirt, and they got out of there. And so when they blew, you blew up the top of it, but the bottom of it was still everything was still intact. You know? Yeah. So this is history's about to play itself out all over again, and that's the thing that's gonna take you out, man. Right there again, all over again.
Sassanid Persian Empire.
Sassanid Persian Empire. Right? So you're going against the Persians now, again, and you're finna fall. And the same thing, your military stretched in, saying it was hard for them to get the weapons from the west to the east. Where are you at? You're in the west, and you gotta get your military thing to the east, and then it's gonna leave you vulnerable in the west. Meanwhile, you're having civil wars, infighting. You're overtaxing people, right? Because look at the gas. The gas is it's gonna go crazy. And guess what? When people have nothing to lose, they're gonna lose it, man. Right? Yeah. So this is Obadiah chapter 1, verse 6. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? And you just seen one easy way how things were sought up. History. Right? And then on top of history, what? The internet. The internet brings the history right to you in a blink of an eye. And it basically just broke it all down, showing that even then they went against the Persians, and it ultimately made their kingdom fall apart, and basically everything, man. So life repeats itself, right? You know. So you could see that these are the same spirits coming back on earth, doing the exact same thing. And the Lord have them already in derision, right? It's all set up already, right? You know? Because, wait, matter of fact, I'm going to come back to this. Yeah, so this is Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 8 says, all things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eyes is not sufficient with seeing, nor the ears full filled with hearing. The things that have been, it is that which shall be. So and there you go. And that's how the hidden things of Esau is searched out. That thing that which has been shall be the thing. Yes, the thing that has been, it is that which shall be. And here it is. It was the Persians that they were warring with at that time. And they had the army stretched too thin. They were highly taxing people. They had the Civil War. You're fighting this military over here. You're fighting, and then you're never really dealing with the actual problems. And that's, I like how it said, it was you were too big to fail, but you were stretched too thin to cover what you needed to cover. And that's America, because that's what they say. Who can make war, right? Who can make war with this place? At one point in time. But now that you're stretched thin, it's the perfect time. It's the perfect time to come against you. And that which is done is that which shall be done, right? So you're coming to your end. 250 years, you're coming to your end. And there is no new thing under the sun. So this is how the hidden things of Esau are searched out, right? Because one thing, it tells you to what, you know them by their fruits, right? You know them by their fruits. Yeah. So this is Matthew chapter 7, verse 15. The tree and its fruits, which is another way that you could tell how Esau searched out. And really any man or woman, right? This is how you're measuring things and see if this person's right, or if this government's right. It's not just one individual, right? Where do you live at? What country are you from? How's your government treating you? How's the individual treating you? Your wife, your children, whatever. This thing goes for anything, right? Because if you especially when you recognize in the scriptures, in the Bible, trees represent people, but it also represents nations too. So this goes for anything, whether if it's people or nations. It says beware of false prophets, right? Which, going into these preachers or teachers, or a teacher of anything, because people say they know this, or they know the future. Because prophet just means to say something before it happens, right? See, a lot of people think they know what's going on, right? But they're not. Christianity is not according to prophecy, because they give you because in America they gave you the slave Bible. They gave you according to plantation Christianity, right? Self help, self wealth, right? It's all about this wealth, right? That's how they spin it off here in America. Who comes disguised as harmless sheep, but are really vicious wolves, right? They're really vicious wolves, right? And that's how this country has been, right? It started off good, you know. Money was real money. Things was backed by gold. All of a sudden, they took it off the gold standard, and basically, it's been spiraling ever since, right? So you can identify them by their fruit. That is by the way they act, right? And if you recognize, which a lot of people you've been falling for it, you fall for it all the time. I think you still fall for it. After Epstein files, after everything, you realize on both sides of the aisle, because you still hear people arguing about Democrat and Republican. Are you kidding me? Why would you even be talking about that? You basically don't have a country. These people are just set up to make money. These are all actors, you know, right? And you could tell by the way they act, and they're just giving you a show, bro. Right? Or sister, whoever you are, you got to get out of that. Especially you being an Israelite, you got to get out of that mentality of this is a real place, a real country, right? This place is here to deceive you and to destroy you, right? It says, can you pick grapes with thorn bushes? Right? You ain't gonna go over there and grab grapes off of a thorn bush. No, you're not gonna do that. Or figs with thistles, with thorns. You know, nah. You don't be over there poking yourself, and you know those trees ain't don't grow like that. You know, you gotta take off the good, right? It says the good tree produce good fruit, and a bad tree produce bad fruit. And what's been happening in America? Not only is things been chaotic, and yeah, he's talking about the crime, like Trump. Oh yeah, there's crime, but what are you talking about the crime for? Because crime has been out of control, right? It's the crazy thing is, what are you using as? Because you're using it as a disguise to bring in the order out of chaos, and that's all of what it is, you know. Because this government has been very responsible for bringing in the drugs. So now all of a sudden you want to go against cartel when you help the cartels, right? And there's numerous of movies and articles and all sorts of things that prove that you've been helping with the cartels and all these drugs, right? So now all of a sudden there's somebody, even though you're in the Epstein list, though most likely you was doing a lot of that sugar that booger sugar, you know, and doing all sorts of crazy stuff with them little guys and gals, you know, because you go whichever way you feel, you know, both ways. You know, hey man, now all of a sudden there's this urge to go after drug dealers and drugs and people who got nuclear who's trying to develop nuclear capability, because now you got to go for the, you know, like I think one of the brothers brought out that it's like the same plan. You know, they went after Saddam Hussein for weapons of mass destruction, and there was nothing. And it's basically what you're going after the Persians for, the Iran, saying that there's this weapon, and then there's nothing. But you're going to cause World War III, have your military stretched thin, but we should know you by your fruit, right? Because a good tree produce good fruit, right? It ain't been nothing but murder. Hey, and even with 200 years, how many years of peace have America had without going to war? They just came out of a 20-year war. To go back into war, which he said that he wasn't going to do that, which you know them by their fruit. They're liars, right? It says a good tree cannot produce bad fruit. A bad tree cannot produce good fruit. So every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire, right? And that's what's about to happen to America. It's about to get chopped down and thrown into the fire via World War III and ICBM missiles being shot from their enemies and their allies, which will no longer be their allies. I guess they will be their enemies too, right? Frenemies, right? Right? Because if you got friends, like that who needs enemies, hey, bro, hey, that's how this gonna be, man. Yeah, so basically, yeah, that's how all your things are gonna be sought up, man. Through all these different, you gotta know them by their fruit. Period, man. It says the man. Oh, it says all the men of thy confederacy, right? You got all these alliances and this and that, you know, with these different countries that you know, NATO, right? NATO, EU, and America, right? But mainly through NATO, right? You have that alliance. Whoever touches this country, that you will join together and fight, which that's quickly getting eradicated, right? Because you have Israel shooting drones and at England and France and then blaming it on Iran when it really wasn't Iran, it was really Israel, right? So that's gonna damage your friendship, your confederacy. Have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that ate thy bread, right? And you traded them and made trades and goods, and even some of them got a lot of your debt. A lot of the debt is in a lot of these countries. Like Japan has a heavy part of America's debt, right? I believe China has a good piece of America's debt. Some other countries got a good piece of America's debt. But yeah, that's all from the, you know, and you take the money from your citizens, things that could build bridges and after school programs, things like that, agriculture. You let the farmers plant seeds, and it was over $1 billion worth of produce or things that normally get sold. You let over $1 billion things just stay out there with no buyer, right? Which shows that you don't give a damn about the people, right? You don't give a damn about the people. You don't give a damn about them red hatters, right? So you gave the money that was meant to be for those farmers to right. Speaking of that place, which Argentina, right? You gave that money to Argentina. That's why you're standing all there in front of, smiling with Argentina, as if. But this is all really for the MOTB, whether you know it or not. This is the order out of chaos, right? They're basically pushing as well. But they're gonna bring you to the border, right? And the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that ate thy bread have laid a wound under thee, right? And this is the point right here. And there is no understanding in him. There's no understanding in Donald J. Trump. There's no understanding in the Edomite in itself. Why? Because you're repeating history. There's nothing new under the sun. It's all for to happen, as we can see. Though the same Persians that you got into it in the time of the Roman Empire, which ultimately made the Western Roman Empire fall. Here we are again. You're the West all over again. NATO and America is the West, but then you have this infighting within NATO where they're not letting you use their bases. Right? You're talking about cutting off Spain. Right? So you got a bunch of infighting just in that alone. Let alone the race wars and the food wars, right? The famine wars that you're going to have on your own homeland. With your military spread thin, people are going to be upset that the gas prices and the food prices are going to shoot up, right? Everything that thing was breaking it down about the AI was breaking down about the ancient Roman Empire and how it fell. That's all happening right now in this place, in this revised Roman Empire, right? And there's no understanding you can't see, well, you say the forest for the tree. You can't see that you're the same spirit returning back. Yeah. So this is Isaiah chapter 14, verse 9. It says, hell from beneath. Hell's basically the grave, right? Or condition, right? Right? Because hey, it's a hellish position. Hell is a position that you fall into when you're on top and you're ruling the world, and whatever you say go, and all of a sudden now even these other people are bucking up against you. You know, showing that you're actually losing your grip. You're actually declining. You're coming out of your power, and that's what's happening for hell beneath, right? So the ground itself, like you're walking on the ground. You ever heard of the thing? Well, of course you have, right? The rug got pulled off from underneath them. You know, you stand on the rug. If you ever see that, someone pull the rug, wow, you flip and crack your head, right? It's yes, it's not a good feeling. It's a fall. So hell beneath is moved for thee, right? For you Edomites specifically, but all you other nations are gonna get in. You all gonna get it, man. You're all finna be put into chains, right? The thing with Esau, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, is he's gonna serve his 1,000 years and then be excommunicated, right? Obadiah 1:18, right? Right? You're not gonna be able to be like what's his name, John Wick, right? Because you know you you know because that's your idea. You think you're gonna be able to shoot your way out of everything, right? But that ain't gonna be the case. You know, it says yeah, meet thee at thy meet thee hell beneath. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming, right? Yeah. It stirreth up the dead, right? That's the point right here. The dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth, right? And there's a thing called reincarnation. And so all those spirits are back from the time from before when you ruled and you did these things. And even, in times past, the spirits of you dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. You think people ain't going to forget? That spirit is going to rise up in the earth, right? That we need to pay you back spirit, or you know what I mean? Yeah, the big payback. It has risen up from raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, right? And there's these kings of the nations. There's a thing called reincarnation, and these people are ancient rulers themselves. They ruled, like, that's why you're trying to go against these Iran, and found out that they're a formidable foe. Hey, they fight different, man. They got a royal mentality, and they think about war in a different way, because of how they believe in things, right? Their faith, and their belief system, right? They're willing to die for something, right? It says all they that speak and say unto thee, right? America, and just the Edomites, and just in general, but definitely America, are thou also become weak as wheat, right? Because America is quickly becoming a third world country. You know what I mean? And when you can't fight and you're running out of ammunition, and you just started the war, so how did you run out of ammunition? How did you run out of missiles? That doesn't even make sense. If you become weak as we, art thou become like unto us, right? So hey, find out, hey, you're not a god, you're just a man, right? Because before, everything just worked the way you wanted it to work. You bomb and tell them, hey, go ahead and apologize and surrender, and then everything, and people will do it. But right now, hey, that ain't happening. The Lord said, what? Let the weak say I'm strong. Yeah, so it's Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshare into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I'm strong. And saying that's what's going on in the earth. Because that's what Trump said. He said, forget was it the heart of America? The what do they call it? The basically the farmers. I forgot, but they used to call it, the heart of America. The Midwest countries grew all the agriculture and all the other stuff, but he let the billions of dollars worth of agriculture just burn up and then wither away in the winter, right? And allowed Argentina gave money to Argentina and let them sell their stuff to China. So it was definitely not America first, right? But hey, and so that's basically what Iran is saying. They're saying we're strong. Look, we're strong. Plus they got tunnels. Like I said, they got tunnels underneath there. They've been there they're ancient people, man. They're ancient people. They've been there for a long time. They don't plan on going anywhere as far as, as they can see for their foreseeable future. But as far as the Bible, yeah, you're going into change. You're going into captivity for some time, right? It says, assemble yourselves, which is World War III, right? And come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Come, cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, right? Which is the angels. The angels are going to come down with Yahweh Shai, right? Because Yahweh is going to allow Yahweh Shai to judge. And it says, and so it's going to be this war against Third World War against you people, and then Yahweh Shai is going to come and intervene, and you're going to fight against Yahweh Shai. It says, let the heathen be weakened and come awakened. It's like, yeah, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, right? That's where the Lord's going to judge you at, right? For there will I set to judge all the heathen round about, right? So this is all while you're setting up this so it could be the order out of KO, so you could try to get control over Iran, so that way they can have that Rothschild Central Bank, so you could push the MOTB, which all fits. It's really the Lord's MOTB, whether you know it or not, right? It's really Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai's MOTB, right? Which is setting up the stage for what? Says put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe, right? So when you know them by their fruits, guess what? The harvest is ripe, right? Because you got the righteous, you got the brothers that's teaching, right? You got the elect. The harvest is right. You got the wicked, right? The harvest is right. Come, get you down, for the press is full, right? And the fats overflow. Their wickedness, right? See, is great. See, so as much as you have the righteous, you got the wicked, and now the wicked, we know you by your fruit, and your fruit is it's reached to that peak for judgment. It says the multitudes in the valley of decision, right? For the day of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is near, the valley of decision. Yeah, so this is Isaiah chapter 19, verse 1. The burden of Egypt, right? Which America is spiritually Egypt. Basra, right? Spiritually the daughter of Babylon, and Assyria, right? Those are a couple ones that, for you to understand that this is because when Isaiah wrote this, America didn't exist. Matter of fact, there was no one even living over here, not even the Northern Kingdom, right? It was only just the creatures, right? Animals only lived over here, which that's what the Lord is going to bring this place back to, where only animals dwell on this side of the earth, right? Behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, with being what they call UFO or UAP, right? Which is identified as the chariots of Israel, the vehicles for the angels, right? And yeah, so in that day, Yahweh Shai is coming to judge, right? He's not Yahweh, but Yahweh is going to send him in his stead, as a son, as a representation, right? Because it said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So guess who's coming, right? Yahweh Shai. It says, and shall come into Egypt, right, which is America, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the hearts, and the heart, la'ab, the mind of Egypt shall melt in the midst thereof, right? So all you people, you're going to be afraid, and it's going to be more than just seeing the Lord, which that's definitely going to be what you're going to be ultimately afraid of, because really you're going to be getting chased by cougars and lions and bears and wild individuals, via the purge, the famine, the pestilence, the lack of thereof, right? When everybody's filled with rage and hate and anger for each other, because your government has failed you, right, and lied to you, right, right here it says and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian. See, it's going to be a civil war, just how the Lord said, how the Lord set up the ancient Roman Empire to fall, which we just kind of went through a quick synopsis of that, showing how they fell. The military was spread too thin, but also what? Civil war, the economy. And that's what's happening right here in America. The economy is about to tank, and civil war is about to commence. And also, it's going to be an added thing, because it's going to be an added stress, because your sons and your daughters are going to be drafted into this war. They're going to be micro hipping people. So it's going to be all sorts of added stress to people. And with all that added stress, what? The Egyptian, I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his what? Neighbor, right? Which is civil war. It says city against city, right? So you're gonna have these different cities fighting against each other, because you have these things where Trump has already set it up. These are these sanctioned states who sanctions and take in illegals, and they're saying, hey, no, we're the what they call the Republican, and we're gonna go against these Democratic cities. So you're gonna almost basically have a North versus the South all over again. So it's gonna create a civil war. Then of course you got kingdom. So you got that right now. Iran against America and Israel. So you got kingdom against kingdom, and then pretty soon, of course, Russia's going to join in, China's going to join in. You already, like I said, the first part of my clip, I showed you, read the thing about Britain kind of joined in. That's another country, and then you got all these things. So right now it's just a mini World War III. But it's going to get engulfed, and it's going to get higher, get more intense within this civil war. Within this world war and the civil war, right? You have civil wars and the world war. World War III, the last war, Armageddon, right? And the spirit of Egypt shall fail. See, and that's when the money's going to fall. Everything's going to collapse. Everything that you ever thought and you hoped, and you put all your emotions and your things and all that pride that you had, your glory is going to be gone as an American. And in the midst thereof, I will destroy the counsel thereof, right? And then nobody's going to be here to set anything aright, besides when they come with the order out of chaos. Trying to push in the micro hip to try to get some type of order. But even in that, you're going to see chaotic things happen during that. When people start getting grievous sores, when things, it's just not going to be what Esau thought it's going to be, right? Because it's there's no understanding in him, right? It says, therefore, and thereof, Salakia, not therefore, yeah, destroy the counsel thereof, Salakia, and they shall seek to the idols, right? Going back into praying to Satan, seeking these different idols, praying to these different things, different gods, and which that's what they're doing now, trying to find a way to get a hold on this. But they're gonna lose grip on this. The more and more it's gonna spin out of control, right? And to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards, right? Because they're just like, oh my God, it's going out of control. We thought we had control. You don't have no control. The Most High has control, right? I'm just jump down to 17. It says, and the land of Judah shall be a terror in Egypt. See, and just when you thought you're going against these cartels, those cartels are Israelites, right? Wicked Israelites, but nonetheless, the Lord is going to lift up a standard, first with the elect, but even though those that are non-elect, because what weapons or what things do we have to truly defend ourselves against someone who the one who truly loves blood and has all this great technology? You got laser weapons and guns and drones. Well, you're talking about it. Cartels don't got missiles. You're talking about shooting missiles at the cartel. The cartel don't got missiles. So you got a supreme military firepower against someone that don't have that. Of course, you can go in and be the bully, but we've seen what happens when someone can match you. When the weak say, "I'm strong," you run out of ammunition. So you're going to be spread all thin and all sorts of things. It says, Salakia. Yeah. So the Judah was the land of Judah shall be a terror in Egypt, and that's America. Babylon the Great is going to be a terror. So these Judites, these Issacharites, all the tribes, all 12 tribes are going to be here. You got the one, these so-called Benjamite, the Jamaicans, the Haitians, you got these wild Jakes here, man. Man, like what was her name? The lady who was Griselda Blanco, yeah, Griselda. Like she was from a country where they played with dead bodies when they were kids. So you got that, and only not to mention you got these sleeper cells. You got these cells to these military age military men who came into this place from all these different countries. So it's gonna be a craze thing. But see, what you're gonna lose control, especially when the Lord lift up a standard. Like I said, first for the elect, but also, these with what is known as 2/3, the Lord's gonna lift up a standard for them too, right? Says though it's their lot to be destroyed on this side. But the Lord's gonna set it off, man. It's gonna get busy on you Edomites, man. To make sure that you lose control in your council, and you're trying to control things, and you're trying to micro hip everybody, but you're losing control. It's gonna seem like you have everything, but it's gonna spiral out of control. Maybe even those spirits jump inside those AIs, inside those robots, and then you got robots going around killing some of these council, these people in your council, the Senate and the you think because you part of the Congress, there ain't nothing gonna happen to you. But think again, right? Things are gonna happen. right? Should be a terror unto Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention of thereof shall be afraid in himself, because the counsel of Yahweh, see, there's the real true counsel, is within Yahweh of hosts, right, which means armies. So Yahweh Bashem Yahushai of armies, which he have determined, right? So this is the Lord's determination, right? So this is already in his mind, right? To determine something means his mind is already made up. He's determined to make it happen against it, right? And in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt, right? So where we're at, the 5 cities representing this is going to be representing the elect, right? 5 meaning power, right? Speaking the Lashawan Kodash, or the Canaanite language of Canaan, right? And swear to Yahweh, right? And that's what we're doing. We made an oath unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? And we're not going to break it, Lord willing. I'm of that number, right? Of hosts, which means armies. See, the Lord, the missiles are the Lord's armies. The people are the Lord's armies. The animals are the Lord's armies. So even those machines, you're coming up with AIs and robots, that's part of the Lord's army. And the Lord's going to see it fit to turn it against you, to have it be so chaotic. You ain't going to know what you're just going to lose out. Your counsel is just going to fail. The counsel of Egypt is going to fail. It says, Yahweh of hosts, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai of hosts, one shall be called, and the city of destruction, right? That's America. One city is going to be called the city of destruction. And that's America, because even though it's a country, it's also known as a city. It's a city. What you call city states? Or yes, a bunch of city states, and basically America's one big city, which is Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, right? Should I get to? Yeah. Might as well just get that, and then I'm gonna close out. It says, and in that day shall there be an altar. Yeah, and that's really what America's set up for. So once the brothers, through the elders, once the elders learned, and the spirit got put on them, and then the elders broke down the word Yahweh Shai. Then our elders came with Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. See, and as you know, it's getting greater. The power is becoming greater towards the end, right? We got the 12 tribes chart, right? Which Ezekiel never walked around with that. Peter, John, you know what I'm saying? Yahweh Shai never walked. So what time are we in? Right? We're in the time that this place is the altar. Right? And in that day shall there be an altar to Yahweh, right? Which that's America's being an altar in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh, right? Setting up this place for its destruction, for its sacrifice unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, because 2/3 of the nation Israel is going to be a sacrifice, and all you heathens is going to be a sacrifice according to Isaiah 30:34. So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists in the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom, to the Israelite foreigners, whose phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom to you sisters, you Akhwatim, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence, and a Baba Ball, and Kwam Yasharallah.